Welcome back to The Derby Difference, the podcast where we share the people, stories, and ideas that make Derby Academy such a special pre-K through grade 8 community here in Hingham, Massachusetts. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Mary Beth Murphy, our head of pre-K through grade 4. Mary Beth has a front row seat to the very beginning of the Derby journey, those formative years where curiosity, joy, and community come alive for our youngest learners. Mary Beth also has a unique perspective of being a parent of 2 young alumni. Jack graduated last year, and Nina is actually off to college this year, but graduated from Derby a few years ago. We'll talk about what makes these early learning years so important, how Derby sets the stage for a lifelong love of learning, and of course, what makes the Derby difference for our lower school students and families. Let's dive in. All right, so I was actually thinking about you today on my ride into school. I was in the front seat driving. K-pop Demon Hunters was blaring on the radio, and my 2 daughters, who are Derby Academy students, were arguing about who the second best Demon Hunter is, because obviously Rumi's the best.
Interesting question.
Who's the second? And I thought of you because you are now driving to Derby Academy in complete silence. How does that feel? Is that a good feeling? Is that a bad feeling?
Ooh.
Tell me how it feels on the other side.
Oh, well, we're only 3 or 4 days into this new school year where I'm driving solo. So I would say it's mostly a wistful feeling right now. I dropped Jack at the train this morning and maybe got a little bit teary still on the way here. So I think I'd rather have the screaming in the back or that very interesting discussion that you had going on. Those are the good years.
Nothing but curiosity in an Italian household.
Curiosity.
I love it. So tell me a little bit about the pre-K through grade 4 child development experience. What makes it unique? What makes it important?
Oh, sure. These are really, really formative years. They are children who are ages 4 through 9 or 10. These are the years where they learn what their relationship is with school, with their teachers, with their peers, and who they are as learners. And our hope at Derby is to capitalize and capture that spirit of, I'm new to this, and I am going to be an incredible learner all of my life. So we are trying to capitalize on that curiosity every moment of the day. We are really believe in the power of relationships that students have with their teachers and the relationship between teachers and families and the relationship that teachers have with each other. The brain research is really clear on this for young learners. Nothing matters more than the relationships between their teachers, with their teachers, and how they feel about learning across the course of their lifespan.
Wonderful. How does Derby approach teaching and learning maybe a little bit differently than other places?
Sure. So what we do at Derby in these early years is make sure that using children's natural curiosity to drive the learning process. Children learn best through play. We know that their brains are designed to play. And so we take advantage of that. Our job as the teachers of young children is to design learning experiences for kids that capitalize on that drive, that curiosity, those questions, that animation, those good questions that bring an animated discussion, even if it's about K-pop Demon Hunters in the back of your car. That's what they want to argue about. That's what they are going to create these incredible cases for who the second best person is in that, or any topic that we can get them excited about. We bring that into school, into everyday experiences that we design for the kids.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about Derby is how much our students play. Mm-hmm. So can you talk a little bit about the balance between strong academics? Mm-hmm. Obviously, every parent wants their kid to do well academically, but also the idea that they need to be playing and they need to be creative and they need to be doing social emotional learning. So tell me about the balance of all that and how pre-K through 4 does that successfully.
Absolutely. I think the most important thing is that we don't see it as a dichotomy. We do not see it as one or the other. They are absolutely combined processes for us. So yes, our job is to lay the foundational skills in academic skills in reading and writing and math, social studies and science, STEM, critical thinking skills, executive functioning skills. But those are not standalone pieces for us, and then we go outside and play at recess. We are bringing that playful curiosity, those questions to everything that we do as the learning tool, as the driver of all the learning that we're doing. So, for example, our reading block in a second grade classroom, they might be, if they're studying chocolate in science at that moment in social studies, then they may be reading about some process and chocolate in their reading block. So we're tying that all together into things that they're interested in to use that curiosity to drive their learning.
I love that. And I saw that a lot in our kindergarten program with my daughter when they did the astronaut unit.
Yep.
it was my daughter's maybe favorite thing she's ever
sure.
done academically. And it was during her first year here. And she was like, is this what learning is like?
Absolutely.
And I was like, of course it is. Everything's going to be this easy and fun and
that's
wonderful.
The best question ever.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, in our kindergarten space unit, have our writing, when children are doing it's writing time, they're writing under their desks in a small cramped space to feel like what it feels like to be on the International Space Station. They are going and using the trampolines to figure out what low gravity looks like. They're doing astronaut training. When they are reading, they're reading about astronauts in space. So there is all of these things are mixed together. A child should feel like their school day is one big opportunity to learn, not just segmented into chunks.
Yeah, they're fully immersed in that astronaut experience.
It should feel like, is this what learning's really like? Really? That's the best question ever.
Love it. Talk to me about like maybe a typical day for a second or third grader, right? Yeah. So pre-K and kindergarten might be a little bit different. Maybe fourth grade is slightly different. But talk to me about second and third grade. I'm dropping my kid off and then I'm driving to work. What are they doing?
Yeah,
what takes up their day?
Yep. Great question. Well, I think this week especially, pre-K has a rest time. I think our fourth graders are wishing they had a rest time. Some of our teachers are still wishing they had a rest time. But no, it does look of course, it looks a little bit different as we progress through the grades. But in the middle of the lower school, second or third grade, after you drop them off and they run excitedly into school and then they catch their walking feet once they hit the door, they are greeted by their teacher, their homeroom teacher, where they're going to spend the majority of their day. And they're greeted at the door with a choice of greetings. Maybe it's a fist bump, high five, song dance. I heard rhyme time the other day. Given a rhyme word, rhyme it back. And that just sets the tone where they've already said hello to their teacher first thing. So you as an adult are handing your child right off to an adult on the curb. They go right from there to their homeroom teacher. There's a connection right away. And that matters. And then every class across pre-K through 8 really, but pre-K through 4 certainly starts with a morning meeting. And that time is really important to us because we're building community. We're building relationships intentionally. We're building some executive functioning skills about planning what's happening through the day. All of those components happen during that morning meeting time. In kindergarten, it's called Happy Hearts Club. So they might be talking about how do we solve a conflict with peers? Or how can we ask for help if we need it? What's a good way to do that? All of those skills we teach explicitly to our young kids. We can't presume that they know how to do that. So we're going to teach them and give them the skills for that. That's our morning meeting. And then we do work, and then we jump right into some academics. So it might be reading workshop time. It might be math workshop time. And it could be a special too. Our kids are doing, every week they have PE classes, Spanish class, library class, music and art classes. And those usually there's one special in the morning and one special in the afternoon. They're traveling around campus for those classes. And then middle of the day is lunchtime. And it's not just chaos. It is maybe organized chaos that we have first graders, second graders, and third graders sitting at assigned tables together with a teacher. So there's never an adult far away, even at those less structured times like lunch. And the teacher's helping facilitate conversation, helping remind people that it's cleanup time, we take care of our space. All of that piece is also really important. The rest of the day flows more academics. Typically our projects block, our science and social studies and STEM blocks are in the afternoon in our lower school. So students might be let's see, in third grade, they might be dissecting owl pellets as part of their health and human body unit to learn about bone structure. So they're doing some more active experimentation in the afternoon. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is we have 2 recesses every day all the way through 8th grade, which I think is pretty unusual. And those are just the structured times. So teachers may take advantage of our outdoor campus and hold a reading block outside, might be writing about science and go outside for science. And then end of the day is a closing circle. And it's a goodbye to that teacher, whether you're heading to our same play or you're heading to a bus or you're heading home back in the car. There's that touch point at the end of the day too with our home teacher. So it's we have an extended day. We're open our doors at 7:45 in the morning and we go right until 3 o'clock. So we have some extra room in our day to have those specials and have those recess times, but also to give teachers the opportunity to have some wiggle room during the day. If kids get really invested and there's a great conversation and critical dialogue going on or debate going on, we have the time to let that grow organically during the day and make adjustments other places.
Yeah, I love that. My kids have come home dirty, tired, and so happy the first 2 days of school.
That's great.
First couple days of school. And it's just been a great feeling as a parent because you want your kids to be mentally and physically exhausted, but also really happy. They can't wait to get in the car and tell me about their day, and they go on and on and on. It's amazing. So talk to me a little bit about what role the families play in the pre-K through 4 experience?
Especially in these younger years, the partnerships that we have with the family is critically important. So as families, our families are the experts in their children. They are the expert in their child. They know them best. If they're coming into pre-K, they've just known them so well for these last 4 years.
Sure.
They can give us all kinds of information about how their child is learning best and what's happening at home and what excites them. We use our first conferences actually to have conversations with families, a two-way dialogue about their child as learners. Also, there's nothing more important than the children feeling like we're in partnership with the family. So we have in the lower school, all the way through 4th and 5th grade, we have celebrations of learning. So our families get to come in at least once per trimester. Often it's more times than that at the end of a unit of study and hear their child talking about their work and their learning process and really owning that, sharing it. The parents and the families are their child's most authentic audience. And so those celebrations of learning are really key touch points for families to get to see their child's learning in action, get to see the classroom in action, hear about what other classmates are doing, and really kind of experience the feeling of, like you were just saying, your kids come home with that joy of learning, that excitement around learning, to be able to experience that. So we invite families in for those celebrations of learning, and they're really important. That authentic audience is really important to them. And then partnership, just in general, we are a community school, so we really rely on families supporting. We have families in our library helping out. We have families come in for birthdays to read a special book that's part of it. We have families sharing something about their home culture and something that's important to them. So that is a huge part of who we are as a community school.
Very much so. I love that. Talk to me about the maybe 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. What's their relationship with our pre-K through 4 students?
Great. Actually, just this morning, I was talking with our 3rd graders, who are our lower school leaders, and introducing some of the leadership pieces they take on and what they help us get pre-K lunch set up. So every day they're sort of the waiters and waitresses in this experience, and the pre-K kids love seeing the older students. And what I realized is those 3rd graders are going to be those pre-K kids' pals next year. So we have a wonderful pals program where our 4th through 8th graders are the big pal, and our lower school and primary school students are the little pal. And they're meeting on a month-by-month basis. We try to keep the pairings the same over the course of those 4 years. And our younger students look up to the big students so much. And we're outside on this beautiful campus so much that it is not uncommon for a child to go darting across the 1784 field to see their big pal. When they see their big pal, or the other way around, the big pal comes screeching over to the lower school playground, excited to see their pal. And there's a real connection in that way. And it helps our 8th graders and 6th, 7th, and 8th graders feel like the big kids and purport themselves as the big kids across campus. And it helps our little ones see what's coming and get excited about that too. We make sure that we invite our after school pals to our celebrations of learning as much as possible. We go see the shows, they come see our shows. It's a really nice camaraderie on campus.
Love that. One of my favorite stories from last year was we were getting ready to go to nature's classroom with our 8th graders. So it's like a 3-day, 2-night over, it's a really hectic sort of vacation for the kids and maybe not so much for the adults, but it's a really fun experience for our 8th graders. And we're all standing around waiting for the bus to come. And here come the pre-K pals. And, the 8th graders erupted. They're so happy. We got to sit down and play a game of duck, duck, goose before, the nervous 8th graders got on the bus to go. And just seeing the 8th graders' faces when the pre-Kers came out, it was such a cool experience for me as an adult, seeing how special that relationship is.
I have my own story. This summer, my son and a friend of his who were in 8th grade last year happened upon a pre-K student at one of their pals at the beach, and there was a very joyful and happy reunion at that moment. So they remember it.
For sure. So we talked a little about my favorite story. Tell me about your favorite story, or maybe a memory you've had with the pre-K or lower school group.
Oh, there are so many to choose from. I think going back to the celebrations of learning, those are the most powerful moments that I see in a child's experience at Derby, where you talk about that sort of giddy, excited feeling in 8th grade before the trip. There's a ton of energy in a classroom before a celebration of learning. And watching a child who, for example, is afraid to get up and talk in front of a crowd, and that they've been practicing every night with their cards, they know it, and they get up, they put their cards in their pocket, and they deliver the most beautiful presentation in front, and you can see as the presentation's going that this weight is lifting off of their shoulders and their smile gets bigger. And at the end, as the crowd cheers for them, just this unbelievable upwelling of I did it and pride in themselves at the work that they did and what they've accomplished. Those are the moments that I think stand out for me the most.
Awesome. So that leads me right into my next question, which is about Portrait of the Graduate. How does the Portrait of a Graduate live or, begin to take shape even in our pre-K and kindergarten students?
Absolutely. So our Portrait of a Graduate is what we're hoping our 8th graders will, all the skills and qualities our 8th graders will have when they leave Derby. If we didn't start in pre-K, we would be remiss, right? There is the opportunity. And every single one of the 5 categories of our Portrait of a Graduate, or the 5 skills of the Portrait of a Graduate, show up in pre-K every day. So one of my favorite things that we did last year was we created these little Portrait of a Graduate stickers. And we did it just for lower school to make it more tangible for them and more concrete. So when one of our teachers or another student saw somebody be an authentic leader or a resilient problem solver, we would acknowledge that. We would take a minute and pause, and there'd be this small little ceremony of handing out the sticker for that. And the child would wear it very proudly. And then when they got in the car in the afternoon, the family would see it and say, oh, tell me about this moment. And so we had this beautiful dialogue going back between home and school about all of the ways in which our youngest children were showing these skills and developing these skills. Day 1 this year, someone getting out of the car on their way into day 1 of school stopped me and said, are we doing the stickers again? Are we doing the stickers again?
Yeah.
So it really had an impact. I know kids who would take it from their clothes that night and put it on their pajamas so that they could continue to wear it to bed. They were so proud of when they got those stickers. So I think it's really having an impact on, it's great for our teachers as a way of remembering to point it out when we see it, because some of these moments are really subtle. In Portrait of a Graduate, how is a pre-K student a resilient problem solver? What happens? Well, it's actually when you figure out how to carry that really wobbly tray for the first time from the dining hall serving line to the table, and you get there, but you figured out you have to walk really slowly to it, because yesterday when you walked fast, all of it went on the floor. So you adjust, and you're a resilient problem solver that way. That's what our teachers are great at recognizing, is those little moments and what it means for our youngest students to be showing and developing some of these skills.
I love that. And it's also a crutch for parents, right?
Absolutely.
Instead of, your kid getting in the car and you give them how was your day?
Absolutely.
What did you like?
Yep.
It's how are you a confident critical thinker today? Because you got the sticker. And so that leads you into a conversation with your kid that's a little bit more in depth, a little bit more fun, exciting, especially for the kid, about how their day was. And I think that that's an amazing crutch for parents. We got to keep doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Helps
That
me.
does help.
Helps me.
That does help. Yep.
Tell me about your favorite classroom tradition or favorite activity that they do in the lower school.
Ooh, that's hard. So I actually started as a 3rd grade teacher here at Derby, so I have a little bit of a bend toward the 3rd grade projects units. And one of my favorite events for just that particular grade level is our Explorers Living History Museum, where students, again, as 3rd grade leaders of our lower school and working on their public speaking skills, which again also start in pre-K way through 8th grade, our 3rd graders are taking on a persona of an explorer from history and taking on that persona, becoming that person as 100 family members wander around the gym asking them questions about their person, and they have to kind of play with it and roll with it, and it's really fun to see the life they bring to that. It would be really hard for me to choose a favorite moment, so it doesn't really feel fair for me just to focus on 3rd grade, but that's the first one that comes to mind.
That's a really fun one for sure. What's one thing you wish every new parent knew about the early years at Derby?
Ooh, good question. I think if I could have a conversation with every parent coming in who has this new to Derby student, it would be this: we've got your child. From the moment you hand them to us, we are responsible for designing the best learning experiences, being in relationship, finding out what makes your child excited about learning, finding out what makes your child a leader. What are the small things they're doing? What are the big things they're doing? What lights them up? And then designing those learning experiences around that, and that we're in partnership with you the whole way. There's so much to learn about Derby when you're new to the community. I remember when I was new a decade ago. And so the other thing I would mention is reach out and ask a question. There's no question too small, too silly, anything. Reach out to us. We'll send you to the right person. We're all here to welcome you into the community and kick it off to a great start with your child.
Perfect. All right, we're going to get into rapid fire, and then we're going to end it.
Okay.
Favorite children's book to read out loud?
The Day the Crayons Quit.
What is that book? I've never heard of it.
Oh, you got to check it out.
Okay.
It is the best read aloud ever. I do it every year for first grade. It's one of my favorites.
Best playground game.
Anything where you're running around. Tag. I'm going to go with tag. Run. Just run. Run and yell.
Coffee or tea in the morning?
Coffee.
Well, you're up at 5:30, lifting weights. You got to have that
That's
coffee.
right.
Highly
That's right.
caffeinated. One word kids would use to describe Miss Murphy.
Oh, that's a hard one. I hope it would be friendly and helpful. I'd leave
Love
it
it.
at that.
What does the Derby difference mean for our pre-K through grade 4 students?
The Derby difference means you, as a child, are well known by your teachers. You are loved by your teachers, and that we make learning so fun that you get into the car with your family at the end of the day and say, really? Is that what I get to do every day? That's the Derby difference.
Love that. And I actually started a new segment. It's called Write in a Question.
Oh boy.
And so we have a question from an anonymous 3rd grade student. And Kendall wants to know if you would be interested in starting a Derby spirit team. So in the afternoons, when the students go to stay and play and there's a game going on, the students in stay and play can do some Derby makeup, get their pom-poms, and all go out to a 6th, 7th, or 8th grade game and cheer on the team. And they pick a different team every week, and they go out and they support that team.
Well, I am going to tell the student.
That's just the student.
Just the student. I'm going to tell the student that because they're a 3rd grader, they are our 3rd grade leaders. And as I just told them this morning at their morning meeting, they are welcome to bring their ideas and any ways they see for leadership opportunities. I'm all in.
All right. I'll tell the student this afternoon.
Okay.
That brings us to the end of today's episode of The Derby Difference. A big thank you to Mary Beth Murphy for sharing her insights and stories about the magic of Derby's pre-K through grade 4 experience. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe and join us for future episodes where we'll continue highlighting the voices that make Derby Academy such a special place to learn and grow. Until next time, thanks for listening and keep living the Derby